Pete, it is so great to be on with you and to have the time to kind of dive into some of these things that, we discuss internally with you, but that we just want the world to learn and hear about. So I'll jump right into it. Just a quick preface for those who are joining us. Today, we're going to be diving into kind of the why behind Real Innovation, specifically talking with the CEO and founder, Pete Reierson. So I really want to get down to the roots of what drove Pete to be in this industry and what kept him here so long, in addition to what makes it a great place to work and also a great company to use for your life insurance needs. So, Pete, first and foremost, what does life insurance mean to you?
Love it, Paige. Try to make it short and sweet. So, put simply to me, the one-word answer is love. But more to expound on that, it's love of another. It's generally, family, spouse, kids, but in essence, unless it's a one-off business use type transaction, the vast majority of all life insurance purchased every day around the world, it's because we love someone so much that we're thinking ahead of time about, being willing to part with a little bit of our hard-earned money while we're still here, so that those we love are a little better off financially when we're no longer here.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It is I know this is about to get very inspirational, so I'm excited for the audience to see what comes next. But let's jump to the next question. So you've been in the industry for 20 plus years, lots of experience, lots of great positions. Now, can you tell our audience what has kept you here? We know you've done it, but why haven't you left? What's keeping you going and continuing to innovate and iterate, not only with Real Innovation, but just in the life insurance space in general? That'd be fantastic.
I love it. Gonna get a little emotional, so I'll give you kind of a two-part answer, but really a big part of it. Bottom line, I believe life insurance ownership truly attacks generational poverty. Full stop. And I'll unpack that because I know that's kind of a bold claim. So I wanted to share too with the audience something I've kind of thought about and shared for years with agents and other companies. I call it the illusion of prosperity. I believe that veil has been pierced a little bit over the last few years. There's been a little more tough economic times, but essentially here's the statistics that tell why it's so important. And I'll do a bit of a thought experiment with the audience. Roughly 2/3 of the country today is living paycheck to paycheck. And put simply, inflation-adjusted wages and income are not keeping up with the real actual cost of living. True. And then third, give or take, around half of the country either has no life insurance or woefully underinsured, many of whom have dependents, spouse and kids. So here's the thought experiment and why this is why I stay in the industry. Scenario A is frankly kind of a bummer, man. There's my Big Lebowski reference. So scenario A, mom or dad, they got, all the good problems, house, kids, spouse. They know they need life insurance, but they don't have it. They call, a big name, giant mega center brokerage, and frankly don't have a good experience. Maybe they're just not listening. The person isn't super savvy on the products. For whatever reason, they don't move forward. Fast forward days, weeks, months, unfortunately, bad things happen. They got, let's say, in a car crash, one of the most common ways we perish. The ripple effect there is pretty grim to think about. In that scenario, the surviving spouse is going to be more apt to really need to take on likely a second job just to keep the house. So unless they lose their house, to keep, food in the fridge, the lights on. As a consequence of that, and they're not doing anything wrong, they're just trying to keep their kids fed. However, then they're not around as much for the kids to model good behavior. Statistically, then the surviving children are more apt, unfortunately, to not go to college because they couldn't afford it, maybe to fall in with the wrong crowd because they're not getting good, modeling and mentoring, and get into whatever, crime and drugs. Scenario B, still sad, but a little bit more of the happy path. So let's back up. Same mom or dad calls and they got to a wonderful agent at Real Innovation. I'll be self-serving here. And they did everything right. They listened to him, they treated him well, they understood their love of their family, and they, in plain English, explained their options and how it worked, and therefore they felt comfortable and got covered. They got a, let's say, a not crazy, but a good $250,000, $500,000 term policy, enough to protect the mortgage. Same outcome though, bummer, mom or dad then died in a car crash. However, in this scenario, it gave them like financial grace. They were able to stay in the home, not need to take a second job. As a positive, consequence of that, they were around more for the kids, and different outcome. The children were more well adjusted because they had more loving from mom or dad, and got into college. And so full stop, hopefully that kind of underscores how it might not be the sexiest product out there. I totally get that. But in our own small way, I really believe that it's a noble thing to own life insurance. And so, our team and lots of the whole industry, good agents out there and brokers are making the future a little better each day when they help everyday Americans protect their loved ones.
I really admire what you're doing, why you do what you do, and just your perspective on this space. It's really, like I said, it's just really refreshing, and happy to be a part of it alongside you. So let's jump into the next question. What are the misconceptions that you, your team at Real Innovation, others in your space are really trying to clarify?
I think really mainly one Paige and audience would be, in our view, probably part and parcel to why life insurance ownership, unfortunately, has remained woefully low. It's about, like we talked about earlier, maybe give or take half has either the adults in the country have either none or barely any. And I think in large part, it's the misconception is that is a nice to have tool for, the mass affluent, but not a necessity. And we really view, for the vast majority of folks walking around on the earth, it's actually a necessity. Essentially, if you have people who you love that count on you financially, who would be adversely impacted if you passed away, and you don't have enough liquidity such that if you died too soon, they're going to be okay, you need it. So we think of it as there's all sorts of different use cases, but that's kind of the tool. For some, it could be a bridge while they're like a good term policy if you're still working. Like I said earlier, the good problems, you got a mortgage and kids aren't yet, out of the house and into college. Okay, they probably need it until they become self-insured, where your assets exceed your liabilities. But also the other use case would be, one of many would be, in fact, one of the most common ones, it's so simple and honest, would just be you don't want to leave your family with the bill because it's inflation. It's getting more expensive just to pass away. So end of life, like a final expense plan to pay for a funeral and leave some money left over, is another great use case. So we're again trying to be real with people and have them realize that hey, good on you if you won the lotto and you're a mega millionaire and it's nice to have, but you don't need it. Like we'll help you get it. But for everybody else, if you've got people counting on you financially and you're not swimming around in cash like Donald Duck, you probably should own some life insurance.
All right, Pete, that is all that we have for today. So for the audience, we will be back. There's lots to discuss and lots more I want to, kind of pull out of Pete's brain. But in the meantime, thank you so much for checking in and looking at the video, giving it a listen. And Pete, always a pleasure. I will see you on our next client call, and everyone enjoy the rest of your day.